Most people approach a high-stakes career transition the exact same way. They polish up a resume, fire off applications, and rely on their own self-perception to guess where they fit. But if you sat down at a boutique recruiting firm's intelligence desk, you'd hear a very different rule. If the market disagrees with your self-perception, the market wins. It does not care how good your resume looks. To survive, you have to stop acting like a passive applicant waiting for a callback. You need to operate like an intelligence analyst, reading the hidden signals in the economy. Flying blind into your next role without mapping out the economic forces acting on your specific industry is a fast track to irrelevance. The first step in reading those signals is learning to tell the difference between a temporary dip and permanent career extinction. We categorize this as cyclical risk versus structural risk. Let's look at cyclical risk. If you check the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the U.S. government agency that tracks employment data, and see a 2-month hiring dip, that's cyclical. You also might check the WARN Act databases, which track legally mandated mass layoff notices. If the turbulence is short-term, you simply bunker down and ride out the storm. Structural risk is entirely different. Organizations like the World Economic Forum, an international non-governmental organization that analyzes global economic trends, project long-term workforce disruption. If their data shows your specific role has less than 5% projected 10-year growth because of automation, your job is facing extinction. You cannot wait out structural risk. You have to actively pivot your skills into adjacent areas and abandon the narrative that got you your last job. Knowing exactly what is threatening your position tells you whether to play defense or completely abandon ship. Once you know how to avoid the traps, you use that same public data to go on the offensive. You can identify precise hiring windows weeks before a job is ever posted online. This diagram illustrates the funding search signal. A Series C venture capital funding round functions as a direct order. The company now has a strict, mandatory 60 to 90-day window to execute on their new mandate and hire aggressively. There is also the stabilization signal. If an industry goes 90 days without major layoffs, and the JOLTS report, the Job Openings and Labor Turnover Survey, which measures national unfilled jobs, shows openings rising, the market is quietly tightening up. This specific stabilization window is the exact moment your leverage as a candidate peaks. It requires immediate, aggressive outreach to hiring managers. Career leverage is not static. It opens up in brief, highly predictable windows and closes just as fast. To find these windows reliably, analysts use inference chains. A single negative market signal is just noise. 3 converging signals is an alarm you cannot ignore. Imagine a massive tech layoff floods the market with talent. That is a supply surge. At the exact same time, the Federal Reserve, the central banking system of the United States, raises interest rates. This makes borrowing expensive and triggers a budget freeze inside enterprise companies. This map shows a third signal. An AI advancement overlaps your technical skills. We call this tech disruption. Supply, budget, and tech collide into a blast radius. You have 45 to 90 days before competing candidates hit. Instantly adopt a future-facing evolution narrative. If you wait until your competitors' layoffs hit the evening news to change your pitch, the market is already flooded. You are too late. We finally arrive at the ultimate test of all this intelligence, the negotiation table. How do you actually monetize the data you have gathered? Pay transparency laws in states like California and New York require companies to post salary ranges. Most candidates see that range and mistakenly aim right for the midpoint. This diagram illustrates how macro intelligence changes the math. If you know the company is fully funded from a recent raise and the competitor market is tight, that internal pay band is actually the floor. It is not the ceiling. Completely suppress your baseline compensation history during these talks. Anchor your asks strictly to current market data and your documented return on investment. When you negotiate armed with macro-level intelligence, you stop asking for what you think you deserve. You command what the market requires.